welcome to the RotoWire DFS show. We're talking Mondays, Boxing Day slate for the Premier League at DraftKings. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Jordan Cooper and Jack Burkart. I gave Ryan Belangi a break. He had a busy World Cup. He flew back from England to the United States yesterday, so I'm giving him a break. He had a crazy
Did he bring the
time
cold weather? Is that what happened? Did Ryan bring all this cold?
We're gonna
I don't
blame
think it was
him.
that cold over there. I don't I don't think it was negative wind chill. I think he was coming from Crystal Palace. I don't think it was that cold, but
It's
yeah,
-5 where I am. This is ridiculous.
wait, it's -5 without the wind chill or with the wind chill?
Without the wind chill.
In Kentucky?
Yes.
That's
Holy
terrible.
cow.
At least I'm in Wisconsin, so I can just expect it to be -5.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a couple feet of snow and negative like 15 wind chill, but I mean that's expected. It's not expected where Jordan's at. So a bit crazy here. So Boxing Day, I think this is a fun slate here for Jordan. This is we got none of the big sides. We have no favorites over 45%. I guess Crystal Palace went up a little bit, so no favorites over 47% chance to win, and it's going to be fun. There's no slam dunk play here. Trippier is 8,900. He's now a conversation. So Jordan, how do you feel right now? Coming off the World Cup, I'm still like trying to get back into Premier League mode here.
No, this is the perfect slate to get back into Premier League mode because it's not a slate where it's like how much Man City do you play, or are you playing Salah for Liverpool? Are you like this? Like every team is in play. Like it's all 8 teams, and you could stack any of them. You could stack any game you want. You could do a lot of things. And also it's weird for me to say this. The pricing is soft depending on the team. Right? Like overall, the types of guys that we want to play in cash games are probably a little bit underpriced for this slate, but then we also have like dude, if 10K Miguel Almiron beats me, then it just happened. I mean, like that's like the Ivan Toney situation all the time. Of like, why is he 9,200? Like yes, if Miguel Almiron at 10K, like what is going on with the Newcastle pricing on this slate? I mean, because they were on a winning streak, so I'm assuming that DraftKings just said, screw it, we're going to price them up. Mm-hmm. And then the opportunity cost at midfield on this slate is ridiculously high.
Yes.
Right. And I think the opportunity cost at defender is quite low. And in cash games, we're going to have some discussion on who you play in cash games, because I may be going a little bit against my typical mold in cash game forwards on this particular slate.
Can I ask you a question, Jordan?
Sure.
Is the mold opting for Wilfried Zaha over Eze in cash?
It's towards that mold, yes.
Yes. All right, interesting.
So before we get into it, there's this morning it came out that James Maddison is still battling the knee issue he had before the World Cup break, even though he was in the England team in the World Cup. So seems like a true doubt. We'll see. I mean, we still have all the press conferences were Friday instead of the 1-day turnaround to Saturday matches. This is actually multiple days because Boxing Day is Monday, so we still got a couple days. So I mean, these guys are doubts, but it's assumed like him and Mitrovic and Robinson will be fine to start. Again, not guarantees. So I think those are the main ones as we look into it here, but. So forward, we mentioned the Jack mentioned. I guess we can talk about in your article, Jack. You said you actually like Zaha a little more than Eze here. Do you want to dive into that a little bit? Does it matter at all? Before the break, Crystal Palace they put in Zaha as like a central forward and then moved Eze up to in the front three, playing on the left wing. Does that come into your thoughts at all, or is this just no matter where they play, you still like Zaha more?
I'll have to take a look at the formation. I guess it's a little bit better when Zaha is on the wing because he's probably more likely to draw fouls if he's kind of making runs on counters down there. So I'll definitely have to look more into the formation there. My thoughts behind Zaha versus Eze is I think they kind of have similar floors. They just score points in slightly different ways. So Eze, if Elise starts, which is what we project, he's going to be splitting the set pieces. So half the corners. So that kind of knocks his projection down a little bit. And Zaha's the best projected goal scorer on the slate with near even money odds, I think, last time I checked. So maybe we can follow up on that. So for only $800, and now especially with James Madison out, if you wanted to pay up for him at midfield, I think it might be worth a little bit of extra money there because if Zaha doesn't project nearly as well as Eze, maybe a point or two below, I think his goal upside might make up for that. So that's sort of the thing I'm juggling in my head, and I'm not certain about it, but right now I lean wanting Zaha in cash games.
Do you have any thoughts between those two, Jordan, on Crystal Palace, or do you have a first move at forward? Because there's really, I don't know if anyone really stands out here.
No.
Now, really, the first move on this slate for your cash game construction is whether or not you play Kieran Trippier. If you're playing Trippier at 8,900 at defender, that means you're going to have to pay down at one of your forward spots, right? You're probably not paying down at one of your main midfield spots. You may be paying down at utility, but so really that guides it. I personally think on this slate that Trippier is not that you don't need to play Trippier at 8,900. So I'm much more likely to pay up at forward. Now, if Madison is out, that's going to be more. Now you're even more likely to pay up at forward. So like, looking at the floors of the forward position is not that enticing. So like on the bottom end, I take a look at the bottom end first. And I go, who's the cheapest people I could get away with? Like probably someone from Wolves, probably Guedes if he starts, but I'm assuming that that Podence will start.
Podence, yeah.
Right. Podence may not even play 90, but I mean he'll have half the set pieces probably. We don't know. Right?
He might not, Jordan.
What?
He didn't. I don't think he took two. He took like 3 in the EFL Cup game against Gillingham. It's a League 2 side, but Hugo Bueno took most of the corner kicks there. So I don't know what's going to happen. It is
right.
Uncertain.
You don't know, but I'm just saying at 5,200, Podence is okay. I mean, he's okay. He's if you want to punt at forward, if you want to punt and play like a Joe Linton at 5,900 or something, it's like okay, that's reasonable from a floor perspective. If you run it just like pure punt, if He Chan is in the lineup at 3,700 for Wolves or something, like sure. I'm not sure if it's the type of slate where you even need to do that, but I look on the bottom first and I go, how much different are their floors versus the guys above him, like the guys like Zaha, Mitrovic, those types of players? Is the floor that dramatically different that why wouldn't I want to also take like the immense upside of Zaha and Mitrovic because they're much more likely to shoot. They're much more likely to score. Like, you know, getting 6 points from Joe Linton is okay. That's nice. But do I see him putting up 20 at any point? Probably not. So like on a slate where I may not have to pay down at forward at all anyway, why am I'd much rather go for Zaha. I truthfully, it's weird for me to say it, that most likely my two forwards in cash may be Zaha and Mitrovic together and go like, well, why am I playing? If Elise was out, yeah, then yeah, sure. When one of them is out, I'll play Eze, I'll play Elise, 7,800, 7,100. I get that. If you wanted to play either of them over Zaha, it's not bad or anything. I just don't think you're saving. I mean, like, I think the $800 difference, like the floors aren't that dramatically different enough that I prefer Zaha. And I'm not even sure if I need the money. Like, it's the type of thing where it's like, I think I could fit in Zaha at 8,600 with no problem on the slate, where like the $800 will just go into Goalkeeper or something. I mean, like, even the Goalkeeper pricing isn't like wide because these are all like pick'em games. But outside of that, looking at forward, it's either guys that have really low floors or really low ceilings, like a Dwight McNeil if he starts at 6,300. It's like he's a floor, probably doesn't play 90, but like Shea Adams at 5,800. He could score a goal, but he could also score 1.5 points. Like, we see there's just a lot of those types of players. So on a slate, especially if Madison isn't in, and I'm not paying 8,700 for him on a slate, where am I putting my money towards? Either I'm putting my money towards $8,900 Kieran Trippier, or I'm paying up at forward. And I think it's more useful on this slate to pay up at forward than pay up at defender.
I agree. Mitrovic is a doubt. That's a recent news blurb, actually. So that might change things a little bit as well.
Well, if that's the case, I wouldn't be opposed to playing Zaha and Eze together.
You can. I've looked at constructions where you can do that. It's fine, especially if you don't pay up for Trippier.
Were you guys just talking about putting Zaha and Mitrovic together?
That's what my dummy cash lineup right now has that.
My audio was messing up for a little bit, so I missed a little bit of that.
That's what happens when you're in the cold. The cold is messing around with the communication.
Something's going on. It's too cold. -20. It's getting up to. It's too cold. So like a couple questions here. So you mentioned the Zaha, Mitrovic. I guess we don't even have to. We don't, as you said, we don't even have to go down at forward unless you go with Trippier. But what if Vinicius starts and Mitrovic is out? Vinicius is 4K. What if Maupay is starting for Everton and Calvert-Lewin is in the lineup? Maupay is 5,500. Does that change your thoughts at all? What if Adama Traore is starting at 5,600? Like if that's a situation, would you be more comfortable going down and then going up with Trippier because you have the money?
Not necessarily. I don't think Trippier is. I don't think I'm playing Trippier. I mean, to me, it's more dependent on whether or not Maddison plays. To me, it all depends. It really more depends on if Maddison plays, and I'm paying 8,700 for Maddison, definitely on this slate. Then it gives me more options where I'm comparing 5K midfielders in my utility spot or 5K defenders in my utility spot to a 5K forward. And then instead of using the 5K forward, I'm now using a $7,400 mid. And so it basically comes down to like, if Mitrovic plays, I'm comparing him in a non-Madison lineup to like Damari Gray. But if Madison plays, like I'm not going to be able to play both anyway. So like, if Madison doesn't play, like, why am I even paying that? Like, what? None of doesn't matter who starts up top. I'm probably jamming in 3 high-priced midfielders no matter what I'm doing anyway. And if I'm not playing Trippier, I'm playing 7K forwards anyway. It comes down to, do you play Trippier? And I think at 8,900, I think the midfielders are better. I mean, it's not a slate. If Trippier is 8,900, Maddison should be 10.5, and James Ward-Prowse should be 8,200, and Damari Gray should be 89. Like, he's comparable to those players, and he's priced above all of them. Like, I'd rather play those players in my midfield spots, and we have defenders in the mid-range to play. We have 4K defenders that are like, they're half the price of Trippier and only have like maybe a 3-point lower floor. So what am I paying for? Like, if I'm going to pay an extra 4K for a guy with a 3-point higher floor, he better have the highest goddamn ceiling on the slate. So I'd rather that be in a forward position than in a defender position.
It's too much. Like, you end up sacrificing at midfield, which seems like a terrible mistake to make. There's like 6 good midfielders that you can play in cash.
And they're good midfielders to play even if Madison is out.
Yeah.
Even if Madison is out, it's like comparing them to, I mean, even comparing Trippier to Andreas Pereira, who is not currently, it doesn't make the cut for my cash lineup. I think I'd still rather play Pereira in a utility spot than play Trippier in a defender spot.
Yeah, I agree.
So what I'm gathering here, if Maddison doesn't start, we still won't have the need to go down to either Tielemans at 5,100 or Dewsbury Hall at 4,100 because there are still other midfielders. Okay.
No, you can't. The type of build that you do that is when you're paying up twice at forward, and then you're you're basically comparing your utility spot to like someone to like a 5K level like
Podence.
Defender,
Oh,
right? Like like Podence or a Stupinan, like something like you're playing them over. You're playing Dewsbury Hall or Tielemans over one of those guys in the utility, but you're paying up at forward because you're not spending on 3 big midfielders. But I still think that the better construction is at the current moment, without even with Madison in, is to just not punt it, like to not go all the way down at forward. I think I'd rather play a high 4K defender than Podence, right? And then if Madison is out, I'd rather play Dewsbury Hall or Tielemans over Podence also. So in any case, it feels like I'm I'm going to be paying 7K plus for both of my forwards.
I see. Okay.
I think you highlighted, Jack. I think you highlighted that in your article.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of the construction. I'm just looking at my lineup and seeing what 2v2 I'm off to arrive at that. But those are the comparisons you're making. It's like, do I want to pay? Where are you going to pay 5,000? Is it going to be on potents? Are you going to not play 3 midfielders? Which I also agree. I don't see how you can fade a bunch of possible set piece monopolies at midfield, especially in cash
at reduced prices. I mean, like literally at reduced prices.
It's easy to fit them in, and yeah, I don't want to play a lesser utility player. Like a Kieran Dewsbury Hall is a fine play, but I just don't think he can get a goal. Whereas all of the mid 7K midfielders, not only do they have the primary role of set pieces, they are also more likely to contribute to a goal. So you're really risking getting lapped when you go down that route. I'm fine with doing it in tournaments if you want to sort of experiment with different structures, because Trippier still will project well. And so if you want to play Trippier in tournaments, sure, then mess around with the cash game price construction. But I don't want to fade 3 of the midfielders. I'm not even sure which 3 I want to precisely pick at this point, even, because you're going to have to make a choice. So I feel that's where I want to allocate my salary.
Yeah, I'd say at midfield, they're just going down the list. We got Madison, Gray, Ward-Prowse, Pereira is in there, 8,500. Solly March is 7,200. Olise is 7,100. Gordon, maybe not technically there, but he's still an option, 6,800. Those are probably all the guys we're talking about. I don't think I'm missing anyone here.
Yeah.
If Moutinho's down here at 4,500 for the Moutinho fans. That means
I will be passing on Moutinho on this one. I'm not even sure he takes corners anymore. Maybe just one more question I can ask about forward quick is I just looked at a construction where I played like IU and Potence, just spend down both times, because I am fading the ceiling of the goal dependent guys, but there aren't many floors. And in that way, you can spend up 3 times at midfield, put one in the utility, and you can also afford Trippier. So I don't know. I just feel suboptimal.
There. I think that makes you feel nice. But if any of the forwards that are higher price score a goal, you're going to be in bad shape. So
yeah, well, it doesn't feel nice.
I don't want to dinky do this. The pricing's too soft to dinky. Dinky doos are on the slates where the pricing is tight. Like, this is not a tight slate. Why? No, I don't get it. I know we haven't on midfield on forward. We haven't touched on him. Is there any chance? Because I know some people may not realize it, so I just want to highlight it since it's been the World Cup for a month. Any chance you pay $9,100 for a fullback with set piece taste with set piece duty at the forward position?
I'll pass on that one, Jordan.
That's Pascal Gross for those listening. Obviously, they don't understand.
One comment I will have on this is, so Brighton is one of the teams, when they tweet out their lineup, they do not tweet out like how their formation is. It's pretty random. I don't know if it's alphabetical or by the numbers. But there are questions here to actually Brighton's lineup. There is a possibility where we could have Estupinian at left back and Tariq Lamptey at right back, because we could see Pascal Gross moving up. McAllister is out for them, and I think McAllister hasn't really missed any matches this season. We could get Billy Gilmore in there, but he hasn't really played. Up front, like Mitoma maybe starting up there, because Danny Welbeck's out as well. So there could be changes to what their lineup looks like. I know Gross has played as a fullback, but if we see both Estupinian and Lamptey in there, you got to think Gross is somewhere else. Would that change your thoughts? If there is a possibility he's maybe in the front four, would you look at him then at 9,100?
Oh, on this slate with the softer pricing? If you tell me that if Mitrovic is out and Madison is out, who else am I playing at forward? And if you're going to tell me that Gross isn't playing as a fullback, I play 90. What's wrong? 9,100 for him seems. I mean, you could spend the money on it. It's because you have to play 2 forwards. So I could play Gross and Zaha, on this slate. If you tell me Madison is out, and you tell me that Mitrovic is out, so that takes him away from there. It's dude, I could easily build a construction with Gross and Zaha. It doesn't have Trippier in it, but I don't care because I'm not prioritizing him at all.
What if he played as a wing back?
A little bit better, but I mean,
okay.
To me, I'd still much rather play. If I could play Zaha Mitrovic, I'll play Zaha Mitrovic.
Okay.
Like for those prices, because if Madison is out, now it gives you a lot more salary to do some.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the type of thing where if Madison is out, you just go, well, I'm going to play Andreas Pereira instead, like for $200 less. I put Pereira in the midfield category. I put him 4th on my list.
Okay. Yeah, it was just the Brighton situation. It's just one of those situations where we may not know what the exact formation is. They've gone 4-2-3-1 the last few matches, and I think in the cup match recently as well. But if it is a weird lineup because some guys are missing, there's no guarantee to what actually position like Gross is playing if we have a Stupinian and Lamptey in there or someone else. So that would be something to keep an eye on. It's just one of those. It's almost like a Chelsea situation where a position may not be guaranteed if some weird guy's in the lineup. But
Gross is going to end up being a center back, right? That'll
yeah. I mean, he could be one of those center backs that gets a PK goal as well because McAllister's not in, so he'll be on PKs. So there you go.
But at midfield, like I would rank the midfielders: Madison 1, Ward-Prowse 2, Gray 3, Pereira 4. That's what I would do. When you consider price considered.
I mean, Pereira is up there in price now. I'm just looking. He had 15 crosses against Manchester United when he was 8,500 last game. So now he's 8,800. That's kind of why his price is way up there because he's been floating around the 6K range for the majority of the season. So,
and it's not a bad matchup, but I mean, I'm always concerned when Willian's on the pitch. You know, if like Pereira is priced for a set piece monopoly, I'm going to play 90 minutes and have a set piece monopoly as the attacking central midfielder. Like that's his price. It's not like you're getting a discount like that. He's efficiently priced for that, right? Madison is a little too cheap. Ward-Prowse is too cheap. I think Gray is a little too cheap, slightly too cheap, right? But Pereira is like. He's efficient. I think he's efficient for that. Now, you tell me that Williams going to take some set pieces. Now he's overpriced, right? So, that's why I have to rank him 4th because, like, I'd much rather have the other guy. So, like, to me, if Madison's out, like, now I'm playing Ward-Prowse and Gray, right? And now I'm considering, do I play Tielemans instead of Podence? You know, like then we go back to that whole conversation again. And then we're like, well, do you play Andreas Pereira or do you play Wilf Zaha in the forward spot? And to me, the midfield spots are the more valuable spots. So, like, I'd rather plug in Zaha in the forward spot because it's not like once I don't play Zaha, like, there's not many players there at forward. So, like, at midfield, at least I got options. I mean, at midfield, it feels like, I mean, even at the bottom level, I got options. I wouldn't be opposed to in cash playing Matoma if he starts at 4,800 in cash games. If Madison plays, like I'd rather play Tielemans over him if Madison doesn't play. But like if you need a punt, like if you're already playing Purvis Estupinan into your defender spot and you need a utility at 4,800 because you're paying up twice at forward and twice at midfield, like I'm fine with those types of guys. Like I feel like midfielders on this slate, I'm much more likely to have in my utility. I'm much more likely to play 3 midfielders no matter what their prices are. Versus the defenders, versus the forwards. So, like, the opportunity cost is at the midfield spot. So, because forward is scarce, I just want to jam points in at forward. Just give me points at forward, and then I could get all the points I want in the midfield spots.
Jack, are you looking to play? Are you looking to play 3,500 Idrissa Gueye for his possible Everton set pieces, or?
That was ridiculous. I'm happy to be beyond that after World Cup. No, I'm not looking to go down that road. I'm a little less enthusiastic about some of these lower priced midfielders. I feel like Matoma would definitely be a early substitute risk. Like, has he even played more than 60 minutes? I mean, maybe he's still getting acclimated to the side, but I like the role. I like the idea.
The thing is, with Welbeck and McAllister out, it's like I like. Maybe not Matoma, but I mean all these cheaper Brighton guys.
Caicedo.
Well, that's what I'm looking at. Well, that's
Caicedo. Okay, that would be what I prefer.
Right. Okay. So I was going to say this very same thing. It's like if you want to use someone like that. I mean, obviously, there's a defender at 4,000 that I'd rather use if given the choice. So like Caicedo would be in a lineup that's in a utility spot.
Yes.
Instead of
absolutely.
that. But I mean, like, that's really who we're like comparing it to. And then you have also guys like He-Chan, who's midfield eligible, that if he starts up top for Wolves, I mean, he has literally no floor.
He's midfield eligible? That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah,
terrible.
We could pretty much say all of these guys could be in range, and it wouldn't be wrong because, as we said, none of these teams have over 46% chance to win. So, like, I'm just going up and down the list, and it's like, well, this guy's not bad. This guy's not bad. This guy's not bad. So, as the title of the show says, play whoever you want, and hope you.
I mean, even I wouldn't even be opposed to playing someone like Paulinho. That's how you pronounce it.
Fulham's Paulinho?
Yeah.
What's this cost?
4,200.
Yeah, sure. It's like Caicedo. Well,
right.
The difference between Caicedo and Paulinho is that Brighton are favored. They that is like a 20% swing. So I'd probably rather play Caicedo because I expect them to have more of the ball, but it's very close margin.
Yeah, but these are all very close games. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm overestimating.
I'm barely even considering that. Like, we're going to talk about goalkeeper, and it's like, really, play whoever you want. I mean, like, come on. There's nothing to pay up for, and there's nothing to pay down for. It's like everyone's in like this very tight pricing range, and then it's like whatever fits. Good luck.
Yeah. So Jordan, did Olise make your top 4 at midfield? I feel like he's the name who's been omitted, who I think is. I think he's a pretty good option.
In the 5th, 6th range. He's there. I think he's more suited for GPPs than for cash games. But if he's sitting there and you're like, I have 7,100 left for a utility spot, I mean, fine, play Olise. I mean, like, that's perfect. But I mean, I'd still rather overpay for Pereira if I have the money for safety than play Olise at 7,100. But I'm not gonna have the money, so it's not gonna matter. So like I don't have to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I had the money, I would. If I had the money,
this is what happens when Ryan's gone.
The chemistry is lacking.
For Olise, he's played like in a central midfield in Crystal Palace's 4-3-3 the past couple matches, so that'll be something to look at. I'm not sure how much it matters. Like, his numbers didn't change that much, but it is, it does make you feel better if he's in the front 3 rather than the middle 3 for Crystal Palace. So that'll be something to keep an eye on as well. Usually if it's like if Jordan Ayew is in and Olise are in, then Olise is probably central midfield. But if Ayew's not in, Olise will probably be in the front 3. That's usually that situation.
I can tell you who's going to be low owned in midfield. Leandro Trossard at 9,400.
Oh my goodness! And then he's going to score a brace. So there we go.
No. The winning lineup on Boxing Day will be Miguel Almiron and Leandro Trossard. Right.
Lock it in.
10K Almiron. Why is Miguel Almiron 10K? Other than the fact that he scored goals in the past 4 games.
Well, that's it. There it is. That's why.
There you go.
So for Trossard, Welbeck's out, so Trossard could start as the number 9 or however they play it, and I think he scored a hat trick from that spot already this season. But it's something that, it was a hat trick.
If that happens on Monday, I just lose. Like it just happens.
Oh, you're playing no Trossard, okay?
Well, I'm playing like 7 lineups for GPP, so like playing 7 lineups total. So like no, I'm not playing $9,400 Trossard. No.
Any chance, Steven asked, any chance Traore starts? Yeah, I think there's a chance. We'll see. I mean, Lopetegui is still figuring out the lineup. I put in Raul Jimenez, but I don't know. That may not be the case. He's still figuring things out. They started Podence and Guedes, and Costa suspended for this one, so we'll see what Lopetegui figures out here. But, I mean, it really could be anyone for Wolves outside of Diego Costa because he's suspended, so... for defender, we already talked about Trippier a lot, and I assume
Defender's
Bueno.
easy. Defender's easy for cash.
Too easy.
It's too easy. Estupiñán, Bueno. You're done.
Done. Easy.
Estupiñán is a lock, though. Are we sure about that?
A lock? I mean, nothing's a lock, but I mean, obviously, if he's in and playing a wing back or whatever for Brighton, sure. And then Bueno, if he's going to.
Brighton.
Why would you play these guys at like these guys are underpriced? Like Estupiñán should be 5,400, Bueno should be 4,800. I mean, like these other guys in these ranges, it's like why is Castagna at 5,000 when these other guys should be higher priced than him, right? You take and then Trippier's 8,900. I'm like, Trippier should be like 7,400 or something. It's like, okay, that's a little bit more reasonable now. So it's like, I ain't playing Trippier. I mean, the only way that I get Trippier in my cash lineup is like if like everyone is out. If like, oh, Zaha's not in either, and then Madison's not in, and then the one game gets canceled. I mean, like, who knows what happened? I mean, I just don't see a purpose in plugging in an $8,900 defender when the pricing is soft and the midfielders are so worthwhile to play over the defender spot. When it's not like you're ending up playing a Stupinan and Bueno and still playing all the players that you want to play. It's not like, oh, well, this is the slate where you could go down and like play Kyle Walker-Peters at 3,400, which I think is a good option if you need to pay all the way down. But like, I don't even know if that's necessary. Like, I'm like, oh, let me plug in Kyle Walker-Peters. I started with that. I'm like, oh, $3,400 wingback for Southampton. Like, give that to me. And then I'm building, and then all of a sudden I have $1,200 left over. Right? Then all of a sudden I've like, I have too much money now. So it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to move Kyle Walker-Peters up to Purvis and Stupinan, right? And it's like, okay, that's better. And now that's all I need. So like, what am I like? Walker-Peters makes more sense in lineups where you're like double paying up everywhere. Like if you're playing Trippier, if you're playing Zaha, Almiron type of lineups, if you're playing Madison, Pereira, Zaha lineups, like those types of lineups, I guess. I prefer Kyle Walker-Peters to a lot of the $3,400 midfielders. But
for sure.
The pricing on this slate is just too soft. Other than the Newcastle and Brighton players, essentially. Well, not even all the Brighton players, but just specific ones that I feel like you don't even need Kyle Walker-Peters.
I don't think so either. I mean, just to emphasize this point about Trippier, like, what's the difference in the floor if a Stupinan starts and plays as a wingback versus Trippier? It can't be more than like if you project Trippier for 13 points. I mean, a Stupinan probably projects for 9, right. And Trippier costs 2 Stupinans. It feels insane to, especially because we have those two, a Stupinan, Bueno, and then if one of them somehow doesn't start, you have Walker-Peters.
Right, Trippier is more than double the price of Bueno. More than double.
It's ridiculous.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
$2.25
That's why I said if Trippier was 7,400, I'd be like, okay, now we could start talking about comparing Trippier to Olise and Gray and be like, okay, then you could fill a defender spot and what? Okay, but at 8,900, I mean, he costs more than Madison. So imagine thinking to yourself, do I want to play Madison or Trippier? Like, I want to play Madison. I mean, like that's and it's not a slate where defender is weak. This is the type of slate where it's Trippier at whatever 8,900, and then let's say a Stupinan was 6,500 and Bueno was 5,800, and like Castagna was 6. Like they priced up all these guys where it's like, oh, if I don't play Trippier, like the price difference between Trippier and those guys are much less. And if I don't do that, and I want to play Madison and James Ward-Prowse in my lineup, I have to go and play a $3,200 center back with no floor. It's like, no, you could play 2 defenders with floors that are not dramatically lower than Trippier for half the price. If you play a Stupinan and Bueno, that's $8,600. That's still $300 cheaper than just playing Trippier in one spot. So like that's it. Just boils down to that. I'm not saying that Trippier's a bad play. I think from a raw point floor perspective, he's the best defender on the slate easily. Just a matter of like. If you told me that Trippier got 15 points, it's fadeable. Like the only time that it's not fadeable is if he gets on the score sheet. Like if he has 2 assists or something, if he ends up with 28 points, then it's like, okay, now you're in trouble. But I view Trippier at defender the same way I view like Kane at forward. It's like, dude, if he scores 1 goal, I'm fine. If he scores 2 goals, I'm in trouble. So like he's at a price where, like, if he doesn't put up 20 points, you're probably good. You're probably probably don't need him.
I agree.
Yeah, I was gonna say I ran into a 2v2 that was it involved Kyle Walker-Peters and Anthony Gordon, or a Stupinian and a Wolves guy like Podence or something.
Why are you playing Gordon in cash? Don't do that.
Well, that's what I fell into.
Oh, but don't fall out of it.
Yeah, go on the other side of that one, Adam. Fall out of it.
Well, I mean, do you like Estupinian that much more than Walker Peters? And would
No,
you
I
like
just don't want Anthony Gordon in my forward spot. Like,
Well,
that,
do
to
you
me,
like
that's more of the
Podence that
question.
much more than Anthony Gordon, though?
Why are you playing Anthony Gordon? What?
Well, because
That's the question. That's more of the question of why are you playing it. Anthony
What's wrong
Gordon
with
doesn't
Anthony
have much
Gordon,
of a higher
though?
floor than some of the other guys that are cheaper than him.
Do you like a Wolves guy? I don't know. I don't
It's a
think
price
that
difference.
Podence...
It's a $1,600 difference. I could use the $1,600 elsewhere.
Yeah, but you're using the 1,600. You're using the price difference on Estupinian over like a Kyle Walker Peters, though.
Yeah, well,
and
I think
don't see it
Estupiñán has a much higher ceiling than Walker Peters.
Does
and
he
I think
though?
that
This isn't
Daniel Podence,
Ecuador's Estupinian. I gotta remind you, this isn't the World Cup anymore. This is Brighton's Estupinian here.
Oh, okay. So cross him out.
Yeah, he's gonna play
What am I
70
supposed
minutes.
to say? He's playing as a wingback for Brighton. They cross the ball.
He doesn't. De Zerbi has gone away from wingbacks though. He's gone with 4 in the back like the last month or so for Brighton. So he's not actually a wingback, or that's projected. He's not going to be. So I mean, as a regular left back who may only go 80 minutes, you're still that confident in him?
Yeah, why not? He's 4,600.
All right.
I feel like
because
if
then
you pay up for Gordon,
who else are you playing at defender then? Then you have to play Kyle Walker Peters.
Well,
right?
you still got
can't
Bueno
get up to
in there.
Trippier. I don't think Kyle Walker Peters is that good. I don't think Southampton is that good. I don't want. Do I feel comfortable having multiple Southampton players in my lineup? No. I don't mind James Ward-Prowse, but like once you start adding more Southampton players, I start getting. Oh yeah, I'm now going to have Che Adams in my cash lineup. Wow, what the hell am I doing? They're a horrible team.
All right, so Southampton, they added a new manager over the break. This is going to be Nathan Jones. They got him from Luton Town. He used to play at Brighton. He was a caretaker manager at Brighton about 8 years ago. But he likes to run 3 in the back with wing backs, and KWP and Romain Perau will be as wing backs. So it is a new manager. I think we got to throw that in there. We also have to throw in Brighton don't have Adam Webster. They don't have McAllister. Danny Welbeck, so they will be without a few guys. So that's
no Adam Webster. Oh my God, I got to bet on Southampton now.
I mean, they're starting
here.
They're starting Levi Colwill. I mean, that has to be taken into account.
Now that you say
this guy
that,
you've never heard of. This is 19-year-old center back.
Is he in a wheelchair? Is he hobbled by some way? He's replacing Adam Webster, obviously one of the greatest center backs to have ever played the game. I mean, what are we talking about? Adam Webster's out. Oh no, Southampton, great spot. What are we talking? It's not Virgil van Dijk. We're not talking about some real good center back. It's Adam Webster.
I mean, he's better than Levi Colwill.
Is Lewis Duncan still in there? Is Dunk still in there? Then I trust their back line completely.
You don't think it matters that Southampton have a new manager, though? You're just going to say they're the same team as before?
But that can matter in any direction, Adam, right? Like a new manager could just create chaos. So like Kyle Walker-Peters, if you want to play Anthony Gordon and Kyle Walker-Peters, that sounds like a good single entry tournament lineup because you just done a nice pivot off of
How many times does a team add a new manager and they get worse, though?
All the time. They get relegated. I mean, come on. That's the point. The only reason they added a new manager is because they're horrible. And then
have you ever heard of Watford?
Relegated. How many times? What? Most of the time they do worse. Most of the time they do worse.
Yeah, Watford always had new manager bumps. You guys obviously didn't play those slates.
Obviously not.
The only time they get slightly better is with Hodgson. That's it. Anytime Hodgson comes in or
Big Sam.
Right, or Sam Allardyce comes in, it's like you know how this team is going to play. Like you know exactly that basically they're playing for 1-0 and not to get relegated. Like that's and a lot of times they don't, but it doesn't make them good for DFS, but that's what happens.
All right. Do we even have to talk about goalkeeper here? No goalkeeper with more than 32%, more than 33% clean sheet. Highest, most expensive goalkeeper is Guaita at 5,200, and then they're all kind of in this range between 5,200 and 4,300. Does anyone stand out to you guys?
Most likely, I will be playing Danny Ward in cash.
Danny Ward, okay.
And
Just
it's a simple thing of home goalkeeper against you're probably not playing Newcastle players. So there you go. I mean, like it's just a process of elimination of like he's the cheapest home goalkeeper that if you're not playing Trippier, you're obviously not playing Almiron, right? Like you're probably not playing Newcastle players, so like you don't have the negative correlation there. So it's like okay. And also Newcastle, they're overpriced in the slate, and Newcastle shoot a lot. I mean, like from just an upside perspective, I think I'm not saying Leicester's going to win, but I mean, other than that, I mean, like I'm not saying that he's the best player in the world or anything, but I mean, there's only an $800 gap between all the goalkeepers on the slate, and all the games are in pick'em range. So it's like play. I mean. Dude, play whoever you want. I mean, like in GPP, just don't have negative correlation. And then other than that, like
doesn't matter.
If you have 5,300 left, you're playing Guaita. If you have 4,900 left, you're playing Pickford. If you Jose Saz, they're 4,600. Like what takes could you have?
Well, Pickford marginally has the best clean sheet odds. So they're like Everton are the least favored team, but because of the low total, somehow their clean sheet odds are the highest above the rest. So I figured he might
Wolves
be
are
popular
terrible,
for that
so.
reason. Yeah, and Wolves also are allergic to scoring goals. I forgot about that point. So I think Pickford might be like strangely popular. So that's like a name I plan on avoiding in tournaments because it doesn't really matter. And I think he just might be popular for that reason.
You think he's going to get the World Cup bump?
What's the World Cup bump?
Pickford was a big name in the World Cup, and people played him, so they're going to see his name and then put him in.
Nah, I don't. I think we overestimate how many people cross over from the World Cup to EPL content. Yeah. Especially on a Monday morning after Christmas.
Well, it's the only thing to do.
No, people go back to work. People do other stuff. Right?
No, people are off on Monday because it's the
Christmas
observed
was Sunday.
holiday.
But it's Boxing Day. Isn't that the day where you pick up your boxes?
Yeah,
they're out picking up their boxes or getting rid of their boxes.
And you watch the Premier League.
You do the boxes in the afternoon. I pick up my boxes in the afternoon, Jordan, and then I watch Premier League in the morning. It works out.
Don't you know people? Dude, for the past 3.5 weeks on Twitter, all I've saw was people that have never watched soccer for 4 years tell me how to improve the game that I like. Like that's like oh, I'm finally watching soccer, and now I can tell you all about how much I know about the game that I only watch once every 4 years, and only if the United States are in it. That's all. Do you really think they're coming over to play Premier League sled to play Wilfred Zaha? And they go, who's this guy? And they're going to play these other people? No, they have no idea. They're not doing it.
The field loves Wilfried Zaha. What are you talking about? He's always.
There's no Ivan Toney on the slate. The field likes Ivan Toney.
Maybe the field might not get to like Ivan Toney anymore.
Maybe this is the World Cup bump that all the public players that played the World Cup will be playing on Boxing Day.
We saw it 4 years ago. It didn't happen.
Yeah, but this is a Winter World Cup, though. It's a week after the final.
I'm Debbie Downer.
Okay.
It's too cold.
Are the contests any even bigger other than that 5-5-5 whatever the special that they're running? Like, is there anything big? Is the contest sizing bigger?
100K prize pool instead of 60K in the big tournaments.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
That's a little bit more. Okay.
Maybe you can afford slightly nicer steak knives if you finish 10th place. I think that's the
right because it's what is it 20K to first and then 7th place is like $74 or something, right?
Oh, there's I didn't know there's two. There's a $25 and $5 King of the Pitch qualifier. All right, let's do it.
Do you have any? Have you gotten any tickets yet?
No, I've been second a couple times, but I'm getting there. All right, so what do we got in this slate? Before we go, we always need Jordan's favorite plays of the slate. So
I think I'm gonna have to play Levi Colwell in a lineup just out of spite. Just talk so much crap about him.
Yeah,
well, with a fullback, Pascal Gross to get the
right. How tall is this Levi Colwell guy?
Let's look it up. This is important.
19-year-old, 6'2".
6'2". That's pretty good. I mean, I know Lewis Dunk is taller. He's 19.
His joints are good. He can jump higher.
He scored 2 goals for Huddersfield last season.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. What's his price? I don't even know what his price is.
He's got to be 25.
3,000. They priced him up. They knew.
They knew he scored last season.
Right.
Have we really talked
So-
any tournament strategy? Like, is there? I feel like there's like a lot of good plays at midfield. I kind of just want to mix and match them and try some different combinations of these like lower priced forwards. I don't know. I don't feel like there's much like tactically. None of these matchups. I don't want to target anyone in particular, but does like one matchup stand out to any of you? That's like, oh, this one might have 4 goals. I want to play like 5 players from that game. Because I don't see it. I think they could all just be like 2-1 affairs, 1-1, that type of thing.
Yeah, if I had to choose, yeah, if Mitrovic is out, I'm a little bit less on the Crystal Palace Fulham game. The problem with the Newcastle Leicester game is that Newcastle is priced up too much. Like, it's just like I'd rather let other people play overpriced players than me play overpriced players.
Yeah.
I don't think Wolves could score at all. So like I don't know what I'm doing there. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing there. So then it comes down to Brighton Southampton. I mean, to me, from a pricing perspective, outside of like Trossard or something, I mean, I could see playing Brighton Southampton. I could see playing a Kyle Walker-Peters, James Ward-Prowse, Che Adams lineup with like Matomo and Gross and Estupinan. Like I could play 6 players. Seems like pricing wise, I could play 6 players from this game, much more so than all the other games. So yeah, if anything, it would be that. But
yeah, and with soft pricing, like game stacking just isn't as valuable, right? There's like,
right.
I think I highlighted like 8 midfielders priced above 6,500 that I wanted to play. So in GPPs, I would rather just say, I'm going to take these 3. All right, let's build a lineup. I'm going to take these 3. All right, let's build a lineup and make things work. And then maybe even try to throw in Trippier into a couple tournament lineups if I can pair him with someone. But you are spending too much. And if people still target like a 10K Miguel Almiron, then, just avoid it. And if he scores a brace, I'll cry and lose.
Right, because
And
even
go pick up
Wilson,
my
Callum Wilson's 8,300. I mean, it's not like you're getting a discount there. I mean, like all these other guys like Adams and Daka and Maupai, I mean, and Jimenez if he's in, or like they almost have the same goal scoring odds or close enough that why are you paying an extra $2,500?
Yeah.
Do you guys think Zaha and Callum Wilson will be the 2 most popular players? Most popular.
I think Zaha is going to be super popular.
Yeah. What about if Jamie Vardy starts? You think Vardy will be played at 4,400?
Oh man, 4,400 Jamie Vardy.
I mean, in GPP, I think that's perfectly fine. Plus 185 goal scoring odds at 4,400. Yeah, why not?
That's how you can afford Trippier if you want to play him. What do you think about tournament? I was trying to process, what sort of tournament lineup would I play a Kieran Trippier in? Because there's maybe 2 ways it could go. So one way he contributes to a goal, but I think that's sort of unlikely, and it's expensive to stack him with Callum Wilson. But there could be a chance that maybe Estupinan doesn't start, and the Brighton situation is weird at defender. Maybe Hugo Bueno somehow doesn't take set pieces, and Kyle Walker-Peters doesn't do particularly well. Is there a chance that Kieran Trippier scores 10 more points than any played defender, and you just want him in tournaments for that reason? Find the goals somewhere else, cheap goals at forward. I would think that I'm more likely to play him in a tournament lineup for that reason than to stack him with the 10K Miguel Almiron. That's at least my impression.
No, that makes complete sense. No, I agree with you. But I'm more likely with my 6 GPP lineups to just not play him at all. Right, but those will be the types of lineups. But I think there's enough at midfield that I'd rather just get different. And I'd just rather, like, dude, I have tons of midfielders to play. I mean, I'll play Harvey Barnes, fine. I could play Harvey. I could play Olise. I could play Eze. I mean, he's not going to be as popular as he should be. I mean, like, and I'll play Anthony Gordon at 6,800. I could play. There's so many people here.
Solly March, we haven't mentioned. He's fine at 7,200.
Right. So it just feels like Trippier hinders my lineup way more than going for this the small percentage chance that, like, you just need Trippier's 22 at defender because no one else scored more than 8 points. Like that's something that's something I normally, that's why I like paying up a defender, but I just don't. 8,900, I think I can match his points with a lot of other if you're playing Trippier, you're playing some 4K guy that you hope to get 4 or 5 points anyway. So I don't know what you get. I just don't know what you're getting with it. Even if you pay down if you play like a Maupai, let's say you play Maupai Daka at forward,
then you can do this. Yes.
then you could do it. But I mean, I'd almost rather just jam in like multiply Daka, but then also have Zaha, like have Zaha in a midfield spot and have like and pay up for Madison. I mean, and now I don't want to play Trippier anyway. Now I don't have the money. Now I'm just going to play a stupid, and I'm going to like it. Just feels like at 8,900, even in GPPs, I'd rather play Zaha over him. I'd rather play Leandro Trossard at low ownership over him. Something like that. Then it boils down to I just don't see many situations where an $8,900 Trippier that is probably going to be decently owned enough has the ceiling that kills me. I just like let him score 15 points and I don't care.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's like the situation I described with Trippier getting, like 18 crosses or whatever and scoring 22 points. That's less likely than not three of these really good midfielders hitting a ceiling. Right. So I'm inclined to do the same thing. Just there's got to be plenty of combination. I'm a mathematician. I can figure out how many combinations of all the midfielders I can play and just make it work from there. It doesn't feel too creative, but I mean, that's just what we're left with when the pricing is like this.
Yeah, all these teams have an implied total above 1.1, but I mean, I think it's pretty easy to see how there could be 5 to 6 total goals on this slate, and Trippier sitting here with the 20-point floor, and like he's getting there to where you don't need the goal from him. You're just getting a bunch of crosses, and no one else is really scoring that much. So, I mean, I think there's a real chance that happens on this slate.
Right, that only 5 or 6 goals get scored, and they're scored by like defensive midfielder, center back, an own goal, and 3
Levi Colwill.
Right, Levi. That's why you got to play Levi Colwill, the 19-year-old 6'2" kid.
Yeah, I think if you want to attack something in tournaments, I would look at the Southampton-Brighton match, as Jordan said, and then the Crystal Palace-Fulham match. Those are the 2 games I'd look at, just mainly because the Southampton and Fulham defenses have been bad this season, and those 2 teams have played in some high-scoring matches, whereas the other teams like Wolves, Everton, not really high-scoring matches.
You don't have the trends. You don't, Adam. You have the data. I was surprised you didn't trot out some type of thing like in the past 7 times that this team played on Monday, they scored like twice as less goals or something. Like there's nothing like that. There's nothing like in the past 20 years, Everton is like 92% to win on Mondays. Like
he brought out the Luton Town manager. He was caretaker 8 years ago. So we got to look at
we got to look at all the Luton Town matches from 8 years ago to see how they played.
Did you used to play Lopetegui's Sevilla team back in Champions League? Because he's now managing Wolverhampton.
Well, that team had a lot of fantasy goodness.
Did they? So how are you attacking that with this Wolves team then?
Well, the Wolves suck, so they don't. I don't see Sergio Escudero on this team. I don't see those guys on this team.
Escudero, that's the guy that stands out to you.
Yeah, because Champions League, you go back 5 years or whatever, you'd be begging for more defender spots on the slate. You'd be playing Augustinson and Escudero and Telles, and it's like, dude, who cares about forward? I want to play 6 defenders.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, random stats to throw out. It's no longer the World Cup, so we don't have to play Estupinian. We don't have to play Idrissa Gueye.
What if you want to play Idrissa Gueye? That's a punt. Why not?
Yeah, play whoever you want. It's the title of the show. There you go.
Play whoever you want.
Levy Caldwell plus 1,400. Bet that on FanDuel.
I don't think we have any backup goalkeepers on this slate. Now that I'm looking over it, no. Okay.
Are we going to have to pay attention during the national anthems to make sure the right goalkeeper's in?
If you aren't, you're not grinding hard enough. This is the...
Yeah, but he was singing the national anthem, but no one's singing it, and he still didn't play.
We need to send someone to each of these stadiums, give them binoculars, and we need a live feed so we can be... screens.
You mean RotoWire doesn't have the resources on their like $7 a month subscription? It's way underpriced. And it's so underpriced, I don't understand if you're listening to this and you don't have a RotoWire subscription for all the soccer stuff here with all the Opta stats and all the cheat sheets and all the stuff like this. It's ridiculous. RotoWire.com/soccer trial. Right? So with
Yeah,
all
show
that
yourself
right.
some respect for your time and just use the cheat sheet. It pays for itself in one slate.
That's right. RotoWire.com/soccer trial free 2-day trial. So that'll only last. So don't, if you only want the trial, I mean, you should get the full year because that saves you the money. But if you want to check it out for Boxing Day, you start the trial on Monday or Sunday, something like that. Maybe get the trial Sunday, use it for NBA DFS, or I guess you could wait. We could start it Saturday, NFL DFS, then do NBA DFS on Sunday, and then Boxing Day on Monday. There you go. Test it out. Test out the trial, and then
It's so cheap. What are you testing it out? Just buy it. We're telling you to buy it.
Go on the
2
couch
days,
cushion, find the
I'm gonna
quarters,
time
and
out
buy
my
it.
2-day trial so I get the Boxing Day slate. Dude, you can find the money in your couch. Come on, let's go.
I mean,
And then
that
join
was
us
the
in
case 10
Discord.
years ago, but
Right,
no one
Jack's
has.
always in the Discord. He's always tilting, and Adam's tilting goals that no one else has.
Some random like League One EFL match, and then I'm swearing that I got the set piece taker wrong.
RotoWire. Once you're subscribed, rotowire.com/chat, that'll get you set up with the Discord. But that's all we got. You can find Jordan at BlenderHD on Twitter. Jack is at Jack Burkart. I'm at Zdroik. Happy holidays, everyone. We'll be back at some point. I haven't even looked at the schedule going forward. I know there's games. I don't know
How
what we're gonna
organized
do.
are you? We're going to be back at some point? I
I'm
don't know
not.
when the next slate is. Okay.
I
we're
took a
gonna do
couple
whatever.
days off. I had a busy World Cup. I took some days off, time to relax, and now all of a sudden I'm talking Premier League again. I'm behind a little bit, but it's the holidays, so I'm forgiven.
I'll forgive you, Adam.
I'll be back at some point. If it's a Friday, I'll probably be back.
Yeah, well, it's assumed. Let's just say we'll be back for some slate on the 30th next Friday. I know there's games on the 31st, so we'll be talking about those. Someone will be talking about those. Jordan will be talking about them. But good luck, everyone, and see you everyone next week.
Good luck, everyone.